that to be. So this morning we're here to serve you some sumptuous breakfast in terms of discussion. My guests are in studio, but these are issues that we've tabled for discussion before I even go and introduce them. We will do our African story. We take you to Nigeria because there's this that Nigeria has summoned the South African envoy in that country over attacks on its nationals. I've seen some videos on social media circulating where Nigerians are doing all sorts of things with the South African flag. So it raises, some kind of escalation. We're all hoping and praying that it doesn't really escalate. But Ghana's economy records growth and stability. But the question that we're asking is, does this reflect in job creation? On May Day, on Friday, we heard the indications that were given by TUC, right? You can talk about the recovery, stabilization of the economy and the rest, but if it doesn't reflect in job creation, it becomes very problematic, especially when we know that there are huge teeming youth who are unemployed in this country. And also we'll take a critical look at the issues about the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The President has added his voice, and he thinks that government, even though there's a legal tussle or battle at the Supreme Court, he feels that government can speak into the space and, well, somehow proposing that the Office of the Special Prosecutor requires some special prosecutorial powers. If that office, we all expect it to be efficient and, running smoothly. So we'll want to have a discussion and at that. And then we might take a peep shortly into the NPP's, camp. The minority held a press conference and they are, accusing the Bank of Ghana of corrupt, right? And they are pegging the BOG's loss to 44 billion Ghana cedis as that of the majority's own, which stands at 16.5 billion cedis. So these are issues that we table for discussion this morning. With me in the studio is Prince Derek J. He's a member of Arise Ghana and a former presidential staffer. PDA, good morning.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to the show. I got you right.
Also with us is Dr. Avidu Shitu. He's a former UN peacekeeping officer. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
How are we? He's starting, but I won't mind you.
We're surviving.
We are managing small.
Yes. Except the Ghana water storage is not treating us well. Segments of Tishi or parts of Tishi. It's about time we protest.
Oh, you live in Tishi?
Yes, Tishi.
That area has been without water for a very long
time. Yes, but it was solved somehow. And now it's like we're even being discriminated upon. Maybe the very things we're accusing South Africa of doing, others have and others don't have. So if you have an effective distribution system,
the power crisis,
it should be possible to know that it's not connected to power. No.
Yes, it's when the lights
we have power.
I saw a presser.
Yes.
Yeah, but
is that a question of effective distribution?
They must work.
That's the word. They must work.
Business of power smarting. People are not working.
Yes, others are having.
Positions and they are not working.
Yes, others are having. So if you have an effective distribution system, you should be able to have a mechanism to know which amongst your clients are not getting, at least for about a month. How can others have their own running and within the same station others are not having?
Is
it rationing? I think they are rationing.
They are not rationing.
This matter is an old matter.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember Mate, that's the man who speaks for Ghana Water.
Yeah.
Has been talking about this thing for a long time. Every time he refers to the fact that his father has a water distribution company in Teshi, and that he lives in Teshi.
Yes.
When you put one and one together, you can understand the problem. Sometimes the desalination plant, which should have been working, had been put on ice.
Yes.
So there's no water immediately available, and so water tankers are doing brisk business.
Seriously.
So at the end of the day, he has told you what the issue is. So his father owns a water distribution company.
No. It's a serious matter that he's joking with.
I'm telling you.
Look, you can't say
He said it for years. No, I remember under NPP he said it.
The indication doesn't point to the fact that because of his father's business.
No. I'm saying what he said.
That's what you are
saying. He's a man who speaks for Ghana Water.
Under
NPP he said it. Under NDC he said it.
And it's all going. Quadruple their prices. Again, the usual attitude of Ghanaians. Instead of even just doubling it, it has been quadrupled.
But that
so it's a drain on us.
If you like, Google Salimate and the water distribution issue in Teshi. You see, it's
so Ghana Water, if you listen to us, please
he lives there, so.
do what is expected of you.
Water distribution company.
Some of your clients are not getting water, and it's become unbearable for us. We cannot continue to afford the cost of water tankers that has been quadrupled.
Yeah. Solomon Owusu, it's the Director of Communications at the United Party. Uncle Solo.
Good morning.
How are we? To your thing.
Good morning to you. Quick two issues that we need to fix. You say we are resetting Ghana. The municipal, metropolitan, district chief executives or the assemblies of the various districts, they are put there not for the fun of it. You go to La Paz, people are selling on the street. You go to Accra, people are selling on the street. Don't we have assemblies? What has this got to do with your politics?
If they take them up, they won't vote for them.
So what? The vote, the power that they get, what do they do with it? No, the power that people rush and get. What at all did apart from looting from us? What do they do? Tell me what the power that they get, what they do with it.
That's the assumption. That's what they keep saying.
They don't do anything. People have stolen from us. This administration, they are not going after them. What do they do with it?
If you take them off the streets, the pavements, they
are they supposed to sell? In fact, if you take them off the street, the good thing is that they will clap for you tomorrow. They will know that indeed you are working. In any case, you are not taking them off the street for them to go and chew grass. It is the responsibility of all the assemblies to provide these people with a place of doing business. They are not working. See politics, anybody then, any Tom, Dick and Harry, the person go and shout, hey, Joy Shirado, their power comes to give them position when they have no clue about how to run a country. Is that the way we want to build this country? Look, every serious country is the right man's people that have the requisite brains that we put them in positions to work for us. Not those that went and shouted, hey, so they must come and lead us and lead all of us into abyss. Go to La Paz. It's a total nightmare. Total unseriousness happening.
Don't underrate the man hours and fuel being wasted.
That is the point.
I'm telling you. Yes.
Why must this happen? This is village life. Village attitude, 21st century. People are selling right in the middle of the street. That's number one. Number two, to the sports minister. Football is not only the sporting activity that we engage ourselves in. Athletics. It's so shameful. When I read what's the name? Rashid wrote on his wall. You know this quartet, the 4x1 Ghana squad, they have the brightest spot of winning any medal. You buy tickets for them to get to the stage, only some few hours to a competition. What are we talking about? All you know is black stars, because that's what top is. Me, I've said this administration, if they dare and spend me my $1 to lift people to what they call it, US on the pretext of watching football, we will wear one part in this country. We will wear one part because we have a lot of needs in this country. There are a lot of people, Ghanaians in the US, that can go and work the man for us. Yeah. Why must you use my tax revenue to go and buy tickets for others? Because everyone is paying the tax. Then you must sponsor all of us to go to the US so that we know that we are benefiting from our cake. How much would it take?
Mexico? You are only mentioning US.
But that's where the people want to go.
They want to go to the US.
When I saw it, because you see, I've been following this athletics. Me, I'm a fan of athletics.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, there are low-hanging fruit. How much would you spend? They are only 4. Even if they are 20, they are giving you the same effect, marketing effect.
Just like the Black Stars.
Jamaica, one of the last time they qualified for the World Cup. But Usain Bolt and then Charles Thompson and those people alone have been able to market Jamaica to that stage. Ours, you can't do it. They are training on their own. Look, the last time we organized the All Africa Games here, those that were even using bike, at a point their bikes got spoiled. Meanwhile, they expended 250 million. This administration promised us that they were doing forensic audit. President Mahama commissioned it when November of 2025. He was supposed to have the report by the middle of December. What is today's date? No, President Mahama, don't let things bypass you. Because nobody can come and convince some of us here that the 2023 All Africa Games, we were not stolen. So what are you waiting for? That GBC director of GBC will come and tell us that he was giving $100,000 to air. Then the then minister Yusuf will tell us that they gave them $3 million and the matter goes just like that. That they told you that they used $50 million to cook, and then there cannot be answers. That they used $3.6 million to print what tax.
Right.
Hey, this association, they got to be serious.
Tax on A4 papers.
Can you imagine? People in Turkey are not getting water to drink, and we is not going after these people for their money, Look at the electricity energy sector. Recently, when Duso Ray said, those that are stolen from where they were the ones that were shouting the loud. they have looted us all, but because you people are doing scratch my back, let me scratch your back, cover it up. You think you are doing me? Right. The day of recording is coming.
But today BEC is starting.
Yes.
I thought you guys would wish them.
But I've started.
I have a nephew writing. All those that are writing, but the thing is that we can only wish those that have prepared. If you have not learned, you will fail. That's the truth. Me, I don't pray useless prayers. Those that have learned well, you will pass.
There's no luck.
There's nothing like that. You will fail because it's garbage in, garbage out.
Pasco or no Pasco.
Pasco, you will fail.
Yeah,
those that have learned,
before we start.
I think we should wish them all the best.
Right.
And,
I wish those that have learned all the best. Those that didn't learn, forget it. We will not be encouraging lazy attitudes.
We must caution invigilators and others not to assist people in cheating, because sometimes the post exam forensics unearths a lot of cheating which goes against the students. If someone tries to help you cheat, even if you're not caught, no, you can be caught thereafter. We don't need that. Do your best, learn hard, pass your exam.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's start off our discussions in the African story. I want to take viewers to South Africa, to Nigeria, where the Nigerian authorities have summoned the South African envoy in that country to answer questions on attack on Nigerians. And as I indicated, I've seen some, I don't know whether you've seen those videos. Nigerians using the flags in all matter of ways. Some burning, some using it to clean other parts of the body and the rest. And it gives you an indication that, look, people are now getting more angrier, and it's going to escalate if care is not taken. I've also seen videos of Zimbabwe, they share border with South Africa. People massing up at the border between the two countries, and raises.
Mozambique is also massing up.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Let me start with you there on that one.
Yes. I told when Jacinta, that ignoramus lady, together with Ngezi and then Victoria started these days. Now, I used to frequent South Africa a lot. When they started, I realized that these are ignoramus who are only riding at the back of weak political leadership. Ramaphosa and his ANC now, they are their lowest ebb. They are so weak. So they are now telling them what to do. You understand? And for me, it is so disheartening and it's so shameful that the greatest loser in all this battle will be South Africa. South Africa will be isolated, if they care to know, because now the new breed of Africans, we are going to ensure that this will be the last time this dudula, this xenophobic attacks will happen. Africa will then block, isolate South Africa. Do they know why, of all the 54 countries, it is only them that do not have proper name? Have you thought of it? South Africa, is it a name? Look, when you are in Morocco, Ghana is the southern part of Africa. That's why we are called Ghana. Why didn't they call us West Africa? But yes, it's South Africa. It tells you that that was a country that had lost its bearing. It took the intervention of all of us to deal with the menace that was going on there. Now you have seen freedom. So you think those that worked to help that, they don't matter. I am not for illegal immigrants, and that if you believe strongly that people are in your country that they don't deserve to be there, that is why we have immigration, that is why we have rule of law. allow the laws of the land to work so that they are brought back to us. It does not lie in the mouth of people who do not have the authority to be going around and then looting. I saw a video of Somali in a shop being asked to remove all the items within 30 minutes. Who does that? Now you look at the population mix. For instance, if you take Ghana, statistically there are not more than 10,000 Ghanaians living in South Africa. If you just suppose that to our population of 34 million, it means it's less than 1% of Ghanaians, that's 0.0 something. You go to Nigeria that they make noise. In fact, if you go to the Samson area, they are in their huge numbers. But the Nigerian population in South Africa is not more than 31,000. You suppose that one to the 240 million plus population of Nigeria, it also comes back to 0.00 something. Zimbabwe, South Africans sell a lot of their exports to the Zimbabwean market. What about Mozambique? And you need all these things, they are the ones that provide the labor. Lazy young men and women over there who doesn't want to work. In 2010, I went to South Africa with my wife. Then we took a taxi driver.
Was it during the World Cup?
World Cup. Then we were interviewing the driver. We saw that this was a lazy man. He told us because we were doing business, he wanted us to sit. We were interviewing, we wanted us to sit at the beer bar so that we have proper discourse. I said, but you are working. So no. When we went and sat, we had gone as tourists. I don't have any work to do. The guy took a lot of alcohol to the said that he had clothes for the day. I said, yeah. So that's the lifestyle you are in. So they have been doing this thing for a long time. Anytime they feel hungry, the next available people they have to use as scapegoats are the Africans. Now what is happening from what they are doing now is that Botswana and Zimbabwe are now agreeing to use a common ID, free movement, that Zimbabweans can migrate freely to Botswana and settle, and likewise Botswanans. So what is going to happen is that now businesses will be shifting. But if you consider South Africa as a country, the white population of 8%, they own about 80% of the lands in South Africa. So if the real problem in South Africa is about dealing with land expropriation, but that they are unable to do. Number two, to also educate themselves. They have to forget about the apartheid syndrome. You ask any South African why you are not doing so. Apartheid destroyed my life. Apartheid did what? Apartheid did what? And then apartheid, you have all the edifices, all the infrastructure. You understand? I know a lot of South Africans who believe that their lives were better off under apartheid than today. You go to conferences, they openly confide in you that look, apartheid, though there was a barrier, they were even treating us as human beings than today. So it is not true that apartheid destroyed your life. What about those of us that also went through the British rule? That will forever say that the Brits destroyed our lives. So it is proper that Nigeria will make the envoy to answer to them why South Africa must continue to perpetuate this heinous crime on them and still think that we all belong to Africa. And they hear you. It is about time they consider expelling South Africa from it. But what they are doing is isolation. I mean, they are saying that they don't want to have anything to do with the rest of Africa. So if they don't want to have anything to do with the rest of Africa, confine them to their South Africa. But I can tell you that after leaving Africa, the 8% white South Africans, they will take over the entire country. And at that time, we will see whether they will come back to us and come and sing Sarafina. Sarafina. You made us to sing Sarafina at our tender ages, and we were crying, not knowing that you should have remained where you are. Now that you have power, we are worse off. Small thing, you are beating some people. So it is a good thing. I believe Nigeria must do that. Ghana has already done that, and I said that the foreign minister, the action he took was the right thing. You see, diplomacy is there, but when people want to tell us that they don't believe in diplomacy, you also give them their own dose. And we can move on as a continent.
No.
Yeah, I think so much has been said even before Solo, the whole of last week. I think this was the talk of town. I also buy the idea that it's time for fire for fire. And to really, fire for fire. To really say that these guys are...
It looks like that's where we are moving towards now.
Yes.
These countries,
apart from what you spoke on earlier, there was a group of our young men in their 30s, maybe up to about 20. They walked to the
South African
embassy in Abuja, and they demanded to talk to the
the High
and of course, and then she expressed that she was afraid. But no, we just want to talk to you. We also want to express our feelings, because somehow there's a bigger question of why the state will just allow some individuals who arrogate so much power to themselves just go around and harassing people. Apart from the store that Solo talked about earlier, there was also an instance where somebody had a small house, like a 2-bedroom something. They asked the fellow to approach the house, and the fellow was in a yes, and they took hammer and they started breaking. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And so you ask yourself, where is the state?
And even the few police officers you see, they are supporting.
So thank you. So there seems to be some level of complicity on the part of the state, and that's the extent to which I agree, tit for tat.
Yes.
If we all wake up and they don't, hey, South Africans are equally not safe in other countries, then they'll know that, look, it is not only other citizens of other countries that are living in our countries, but our own citizens are also living in other countries. As for the support from across Africa to get them the freedom they are enjoying today, I don't know how much more we can talk about that again. Africans collectively and other progressives in other places all contributed to ensure that South Africa gets the backing to ensure the freedom that they got in 1991 before eventually they got elections in 94. Then only to turn back today and paying us in this way. In any case, like somebody asked, those who are crying that foreigners have come to take their jobs, you ask them, what are those jobs?
What skill do they have?
These are people who are without skills. There is someone that's coming to take your job. Where is the job? What job are you referring to?
They are not. I'm told they are not even employable.
No!
You can't employ them.
Their attitude in terms of work, believe me, is terrible. They prefer to go drink, to go party. Yes! And we have worked with some of them. I can even add that one of our colleagues married one of them. So when some of us are talking about with them, okay? So we know ourselves when it comes to this matter. And I don't agree with the fact that there's no xenophobic attitude in they say, oh, it's just some fringe. No. I don't agree. Then let's see the state coming in and clamping down on these people. That is where we know, yes, then you don't support it. But when you fold your arms and then they go around causing all kinds of inconvenience to people, that is not acceptable. If, in any case, what is the immigrant population in South Africa? It's less than 5%. It's about 4 point something. That's the immigrant population. Let alone if we are going to set aside the legal ones and the illegal ones. So if there are illegal ones, let's deal with them. And there ought to be a way to deal with them, an orderly way for that matter. You don't just get up anybody, and then if you look at even their utterances, it's so nauseating.
Especially the lady.
Is it only the lady? There's also this gentleman with a with a pot belly.
Serious.
Yes. There was one Zimbabwe who confronted him. Okay. Even the logic of his thoughts. Yes.
That's all we.
And that is why they cannot confront the whites. It's only the helpless blacks who are there. How can you do it? Then where's the police, etc. And lastly, I believe AU must wake up. As for this matter, they should just do whatever, whether it is back door diplomacy, whatever kind of diplomacy, whatever it is, at least they should tell the South African authorities in their face that this is unacceptable. At the time that we are crying for a unified continent, one trade, one currency, and all those ingredients that can uplift the image of Africa, then we have this situation in South Africa. Definitely, it cannot be acceptable. So I think that we just have to wake up, and then maybe the right authorities will do whatever is required. Or else, I think we're heading to fire for fire. If not,
Well, it looks like we are getting there. Yeah. Would you call for sanctions? I've heard people think that ECOWAS or even AU should raise serious trade sanctions on them. Maybe that will be a language that they might understand. I don't know how, but it looks like it's all diplomacy. I have listened to Ghana's High Commissioner to that country. And every time I listen to him, I get angry. Because look, you hear the guy and he's being too diplomatic. You know, because now, no, but you shouldn't.
Diplomacy, it gets right? A level of absurdity. Yes. Look, you pull a gun, you begin to sit down and talk sense. Are you the only one that understand diplomacy?
Well, look, DSTV. If Nigerians decide to boycott DSTV,
that is the end of it.
Do you know the impact? These guys, do they even know what they're talking?
They don't know, and it can be done.
Of course,
if we say nobody should patronize DSTV for 1 month, don't pay your bills for 1 month.
MTN Guinea-Bissau, MTN Guinea, MTN Nigeria,
MTN Sierra Leone, MTN Liberia.
They are playing with fire.
For me, I'll give the South Africans one credit. See, when you watch them, they are able to mobilize. We in this part of the world, we can't.
No, we can mobilize.
No, we can't.
No, that's why sometimes people say we are not angry.
No, we can mobilize. But you see, the point is that the Ghanaian or the other African countries believe in the Africans. Remember, we have been part of the African Union since its inception. South Africa wasn't part of it. We understand Pan-Africanism. But they feel that they are mingled with the white small, so in the one breath, they think they are also part of the white too. But when it's left with them and the white, then they see that, no, we are not the same. So that's the stupidity that we are going through.
Well, I've listened to my brothers. I agree with them to a large extent. There are a few areas I disagree with them. When you start hearing the United Nations peacekeepers say, pull a gun, fire for fire, then you must be very worried, especially when we are fighting to have, an African Union. But of course, I get the principle that when people are being stupid, sometimes you need to slap them a little bit to jog their minds into the right place. Maybe that's where Solo is coming from. I happened to be in South Africa at the same time that you were, 2010. That's for the World Cup. And we led the team that went to the World Cup, which you don't support us doing this time around.
No,
I wasn't in Mosin. I was in Joburg. I know them. That one is a different one. I was in Joburg. We were part of the Joburg team. That was a contrast. The Mosinga guys were migrated to Joburg. It was nice. In fact, actually yesterday a friend of mine just returned from Cape Town, and from first-hand information, it's not that widespread. It's not like everywhere in South Africa people are being chased. And without saying it's a small fringe, for now it's a small fringe that are causing all the trouble. And so it's even worse when the South African government using the security service, which it really has. South Africa is a developed country. It's not a developing country. It has the infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, I'm not talking buildings. It has the police infrastructure that can contain very easily what is going on. So when it is not containing it, then it means that there's some complicity or some people are happy with what is happening. In fact, I'm told that it's not just in the streets, but when you go to the hospitals, the nurses, etc., the doctors, etc., connive with these people and refuse to give service to people who are not
some videos, they were even driving the so-called foreigners. They were driving them out of the hospital.
It is not what is happening on the street that is so scary, but what is not happening in plain sight is even worse. So it is scary. I mean, you see where people are made to lock up their shops and lose business and so on. So there are people who have businesses. These businesses are not illegal. There may be some illegal migrants, etc. But the escalation of this is affecting others. It's like galamsey and small-scale mining. That's the dichotomy between the two, that kind of thing. So I think that the government has been responsible. The foreign ministry and our envoy there have been responsible. Their job is to do what they are doing. That's the diplomacy, unfortunately. That is their job. So if people don't agree with it, that's why I disagree with my colleagues when they say that they should be doing something other than what they are employed to do. If it was the Ghana army that was being told that they are being soft, they are trained to kill. So that one, I would agree with them that maybe the fire for fire policy should work. But when it comes to the diplomacy, foreign, relations and all that, it's more diplomacy as a first. No. It means he's doing his work too well.
I listen anytime I listen to him. I find it so seriously. I find it nauseating.
May I complete mine? I waited patiently. You people went. Oh, I deliberately went quiet. Yeah, you see, some people are paid to do a job, so they are doing their job to the highest. There's another level that should come in, and then another level till it gets. If governments were to react as ordinary citizens, and the first line of lesson is to escalate and take guns, we'll be at war with South Africa. And Nigerians are more quick-tempered than us, that's Ghanaians. And so it means that the Ghanaians would open fire. The Nigerians would have already bombed South Africa before we even open fire. Now, the issue about the Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, and Botswana people vis-a-vis the South African economy is a very interesting one. One is swallowed totally by South Africa. It's engulfed, landlocked, it's inside. It's like a region inside a country. So you can understand the difficulty that they have. Then the ones that are bordering South Africa, they are migrants. In fact, when you go to Qatar or you go to Dubai, the workforce there is mostly an immigrant, about almost 80 to 90%. So today Dubai has collapsed because of the little foolishness of Trump and his Israeli colleague.
I disagree with you.
No, I'm coming. You disagree with me at your time. And at my pleasure. So, you see, it will take some time for those immigrants to come back. Now, what I'm saying is that the tourism potential of the Emirates has gone down. Can't see this wall. South Africa is a good destination. In fact, it's perhaps one of the best destinations. Kenya has also lost it because of the kind of unrest there. All right? South Africa is losing it because of these xenophobic tendencies. And if they are not careful, they will lose it if we agree with my colleagues here. And I'm saying that I disagree with them, even though they make a lot of sense. But if we are looking at an African Union that works, you cannot take South Africa out and still have an African Union that works. If you take Nigeria out of ECOWAS, it's the same effect like taking South Africa out of AU. So rushing to take such distance of expelling and so on. I mean, of course, if you look at what happened with the 3 Sahelian countries that moved out of the ECOWAS, and the reason why President Mahama put an envoy, that's Colonel Babalati, in charge of ensuring we bring them back, is the same principle that holds true for us who believe, and like we started with the African Union concept under first president. He even set up the International Students Hostel to train people who become future leaders of the African continent. And a lot of those quote-unquote freedom fighters who liberated their countries with our help, direct help, including giving them Ghanaian passports, including Ghanaians even actually going in there to fight for their independence, cannot go waste. And so again, I agree with them. But in terms of the methodology, being in government as opposed to not being in government are two different things. You must be more responsible, more measured, and so on. So I understand, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that the government is doing, but I think that I understand the caution and the first line of diplomacy. Now, you know that in a few months, the president is supposed to become the chair of the AU. That is our president. He is not currently. He is becoming the vice, an automatic vice ahead of that. All of these, in terms of the position that you take, will vary with your stature. And I think that it will be premature for us to do some things ahead of him becoming. And I'm sure that all this will feed into when he becomes and how he handles the situation. And I'm sure all these sentiments that have been brought on board are things that are known not only to him, to the government, but to those who are in key decision-making positions. I think that we must close ranks as West Africans, and we must hold the business community, like my brothers have said, we must hold them to a meeting and let them understand, because those people who are out there talking, they are not representatives of the South African government, even though you can say there's some state complicity because of non-action. Yeah. But these people I saw some riffraff be dressed like a Zulu, and he was alone, like charging. Then they were taking some, I don't know whether it's drugs or something. They put on this and they sniff, or taste, and then they go and charge the crowd. These are not government officials. These are people who are, and we've all been in South Africa. We know how lazy the men are.
So you can discount. You can see the state being complicit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing that the state complicity is obvious by not be. It's like, let's say for example, 3 or 4 guys go into Accra Central and hold the whole country to ransom. Are you saying the government of Ghana, the Ghana police alone, cannot deal with 4 individuals? It's the same thing that's happening on a slightly larger scale in South Africa right now. If you don't nip it in the bud quickly and it escalates to, let's say, Durban, this, that, before you know it's a whole country, and it becomes a much more difficult thing to do. And I'm saying that the late or the delay in action by the state in itself is problematic. The inaction, perceived inaction, especially in terms of strong language, is also the same. But I think that most African countries, and I agree with them again, that we should recall some people. We should also have engagement with their, not only their diplomats in our countries, but their business entities, and let them know that these, your countrymen and women, are going to bring upon you and your businesses unnecessary negative attention. For example, a boycott is one that has been, tabled around here, which is not only limited to this table, but it's something that a lot of Africans currently embrace. If we should say, for example, that all the South African companies, whether in the mining sector, the telecom sector, etc., should be boycotted, that will affect these companies. And if these companies send a signal back home, I'm sure the government would take better action.
Right.
South Africa produces a lot of arms. I'm sure you're aware of that. They produce armored cars. They produce all manner of, things that, in a bigger, better African setting, can be useful. So I think that we should go a little gentle,
right,
and still have that gun still, showing.
Right.
But it should be in the holster, not pulled out yet, and let's not get trigger happy ahead of ourselves.
Right. Unfortunately, we have been doing this since 1994. The diplomatic solutions, it has never worked. It is time all those countries that have been affected, they go boot for boot. You see, forget about it. Boot for boot. You see, if they lose their tourism, yes, it's an opportunity for us as Ghana.
Yes.
We are peaceful than South Africa.
Yes.
It's a matter of improving on our infrastructure.
Yes.
So that they will also begin to come to Ghana for us to give them that treatment, for them to see and understand why when they get the opportunity again, they will not misbehave.
Right.
It is the reason why I agree that the government, the foreign ministry, his reaction, and the foreign minister sent some signals to them. Now when they are talking, they are even afraid to mention the name of Ghana.
Yeah.
That is what you do. That is what you do. Why is South Africa good? Well, let's take properly.
We wait to see, but it's quite disturbing when you see those videos on social media. It's annoying, and it's heating up. Some of the countries are beginning to react.
No, I encourage Nigerians to react.
Yeah, they are reacting.
They have to.
Nigerians are reacting, destroying the flag, South African flag, using it in all sort of, ways.
What parts you like, what parts do you use?
I tell my brothers in Nigeria, we are your neighbors, we are brothers.
Yes.
Let's be doing business together.
Yeah.
Ghana and Nigeria alone doing business. Do you know what it means?
Oil business. We have the salt, you have oil.
Look at the distance from Nigeria to South Africa. And Ghana to South Africa. And Ghana to Nigeria. This business of DSTV, Ghana, Nigeria, can't we team up and then have a satellite of that sort?
I tell you.
If they are misbehaving, because now they have shown that we are not brothers. I say, Africans, go to your country. That's what they tell us.
Then go and fix your country.
As if he has fixed himself.
No,
the people who are
fix
talking,
your country and fix yourself. I think I heard it sometimes.
Different context.
when we say we should go and fix our country, then we live there and we come and fix our countries and see the two of us who will suffer.
But in fact, there's some positivity in that. Fix your country.
Yes.
We need to fix our country.
Oh, that one, there's no doubt about that.
Yes.
That is for us to do. That is for us to hold our political leaders accountable.
Yeah.
But you see, no matter how you fix your country, human being by nature, some people will prefer to migrate.
Of course.
No matter what.
You cannot limit it.
I know some Ghanaians, the country that the law applies is Liberia.
Oh.
No matter what to do, they want to be Monrovia.
It depends on what you.
That is what life is.
Yeah.
So don't sit in your small corner and think in that narrow sense and think that all Ghanaians are interested in coming to South Africa when we have 34 million people living in this country. How many of us have left this country?
Well,
the visa-free status thing also is something that perhaps is fueling this. I mean, I think it's a good thing in that a lot more people who want to travel and have had visa restrictions are suddenly going to South Africa as tourists. I don't know whether maybe psychologically some of the people are thinking that they are being inundated, but I think that even as we broaden that visa-free status to the whole of Africa within the context of the AU concept, maybe it would, you know, kind of water down this. So maybe we need to step it up as well.
I don't know if the numbers have risen of late
sharply.
That's fine.
Very sharply.
But this is an old problem.
It's an old problem.
No, I know.
Far back as
I know.
2008.
I know. But I'm saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, these things keep recurring.
Yeah, okay.
However, the visa-free, and I know a lot of people who, on a weekly basis, the number of people who go to South Africa, they used to go to Dubai.
They go and spend their money.
Some people want to have travel experience.
Yeah.
Some people want to go to the US. Some people, but if your passport is no nice,
Okay.
so you want to.
May I have to start in South Africa? You see my mark here. Pretoria. It's not a country that I want to walk on the street for even 5 minutes. I was just taking a stroll on one Sunday, going to find food to eat in Pretoria. It was somewhere in November. I had gone for a conference. Just strolling on to 5 minutes. I was attacked. They held me, they nearly killed me. So I had some money on me and I gave it to them.
Wow.
And they took my phone. So afterwards, when I was dashing down there, the police people came in and probably we rounded the people up eventually because they went into an apartment. So the police asked me to lead them. Can you imagine me leading? So when we go, they were all drunk. They had taken a lot of drugs. So they arrested them. But the problem was I was going to come back to Ghana the next Tuesday. It happened on Sunday. And the police said, obviously, I have to be in court to testify. I said, I cannot because of this. And I left it. So it's not a country that if you leave me alone, I will not do anything again.
The crime rate is bad.
So bad.
But see, again, I come back to the AU. We want a sustainable Africa. And like I said, we cannot take out some countries and have, it's like Ghana. You cannot take out Accra, Kumasi, and some different regions and still have a viable country.
I don't want to join you.
No, I'm just saying that, looking at the bigger picture.
I'm saying that
the few bad nuts must not be allowed to spoil the
isolate South Africa first. The 53 countries, let's work together. They will come.
Yes, I'm saying that as a threat to the government to not be complicit and
they should
not take action.
That
is a fine one.
You know the people that are leading Jacinta and that Victoria and that. You know they go on radio to ask it to fuel the tension. So you don't do anything.
No, those people must be arrested. That's what I'm saying that. So the country must take steps to arrest these people. Obviously, they have committed a crime.
They are not ready to do that. That's why you take precautionary measures back home. That we have seen that you government, you are also complicit.
Yeah.
We allow you. I hear you. You take a decision. We boycott, like we were saying here. You know, if you boycott their banks and their and we have an enter here that is not even doing what. You people will not ship there. Tell us, people will not ship there. What I'm talking about. You know what this is?
It's true. So that will send the right signals to
them. If they are misbehaving, you two misbehave so that we all come to the same economy.
Come and talk.
I like this better. This economic misbehavior to the Ghan one.
All right, guys. Let's move on. Let's step up and come back home and look at issues around the Ghanaian economy. Over the period on Friday, TUC, the workers had their day, the Labor Day, and a lot of indications were made on that day. In fact, I really enjoyed the Secretary General's speech that day. It was one of the best speeches I've listened to in recent days because it was straight to the point, right? Being able to tell government what workers are going through. And the indication was that we talked about, you know, the economy stabilizing, we've been through the woods, we are coming out of the woods. But you cannot have stability when you are not creating jobs. You are not creating the enabling environment. So there's no economic stability, or economic stability must reflect in living conditions. And I heard that the take-home pay is not taking us home. And now we are talking about living wages. Labor is now demanding living wages, not I'm in government, but you should know.
When you say I'm in government, you know I also in government. No, you see,
all right, so let's start. Let me start with you,
well,
Prince,
first,
on this
I'm
one.
surprised. I'm surprised you like a speech that is recycled. Yes, because this speech, what you just said. No, what you just said is not news. It's been. Oh no, okay, sorry. I take that back. Yeah. Okay, not to you, but those who enjoy the speech, which may include you. But no, but you see, we've heard this a long time. Remember, President Kufuor even once said that you pretend to be paying the workers and they also pretend to be working and so on. And the living wage thing and then goes with productivity. So when it came to even the changing from the universal salary thing to the single spine, an element of productivity was supposed to be indexed as in being paid the same amount for the same job done. And I believe that we are going to migrate to a new level when it comes to the 24-hour economy. So I'm surprised that anyone will say that the enabling environment is not being created by government and that the economy has not stabilized.
No, they are not saying it has not stabilized.
No, so it was
stability comes with job creation.
Yes, but
once you've been able to stabilize, it
where
doesn't
did it come
reflect
from? No,
in employment.
from day one of the government, there was no economic stability. The cedi was not where it should have been vis-a-vis the dollar. The inflation rate, as in being able to predict, what prices will be and so on, was not where it should be. I mean, we've enjoyed digit inflation for a very long time under this government. So that kind of stability is now sustained. That is an enabling environment for businesses. And it's the private sector that's supposed to, the government is supposed to create the enabling environment, Abi. It's not the private sector that is supposed to be in charge of fiscal and monetary policy. Fiscal and monetary policy, the finance ministry and the Bank of Ghana have been touted to have done extremely well, even though at the cost. And I would want to put a value to the cost and not look at it within the myopic lenses of the NPP, who want to trivialize the fact that there have been some cost incurred in achieving what has been achieved. And if it wasn't necessary to achieve what has been achieved, even at a certain cost, then we should not be having this conversation. But we needed to achieve this in order for that enabling environment that they are craving to be established. And that environment has been established. Now, the next thing is that we need to have energy stability. All right? Some people recently have always been pushing us towards the direction of Dumso, from trying to get us to remove the one cedi, that was put to ensure that the independent power producers are paid regularly on time, as opposed to what the NPP were doing. That was causing them to hold a gun to our head every time and threatening to plunge the country into, Dumso. That has been, the government did not allow that. So that's a positive step. Very recently, we saw the fire that gutted Akosombo. We lost about 1,000 megawatts, plunging the country into difficult situations, Dumso inclusive, and then they were demanding timetable instead of demanding that the thing be fixed. They were not demanding that the Akosombo should be brought back home. They were demanding that we should publish a timetable. In other words, they were looking for a long-term Dumso. But what did the government do? Within the shortest possible time, within a week, first 2 were brought on, 4 were brought on, and now all 6 are back, as though nothing happened. So we've been able to restore. Now, the government is not resting there. The government intends to add on extra, about almost 1,000 plus, to create that stability so that we have, the margins that would allow for some flexibility, because you don't use all the capacity that you have. You must have some reserve capacity. Now, when even NDC was leaving in 2016, they had left a lot of excess capacity because they were looking into industrialization. All right, and if the NPP had done that in the past 8 years, would have been where we would be in the next few months when the 24-hour economy kicks in. You've legislated it, so it's not just some slogan, as NPP used to do. One this, one that, one this, one that, and the dams, they tell you it's meaningless dams because they didn't commit money to. This government is interested in ensuring that we put our money where our mouth is in a sustainable manner. So it's been legislated. Now the authority has been created. There are other things that have to go with it. Security, for example. Now, you see, the businesses that have to go alongside the 24-hour economy, and I've seen VIP demand, and it's on the front pages of one of the newspapers, they've demanded that there should be 24-hour police protection on the roads in Ghana. That's going to come anyway, because that is part of the president's promise towards the 24-hour economy. Now, I'm surprised it's VIP that is calling for this. VIP was threatening, and they did indeed increase their prices to make sure that prices of transportation goes through the ceiling to derail the economy. That's what Adakabre and the MPP guys, they will always try to derail this government. A government that has just come into being, trying to do the responsible things and making steady progress. You have the likes, and I agree with.
People want to see the progress in job creation. That's the simple
argument.
Things that it must reflect in creating job opportunities.
Can I give you one typical example? The government has uncapped all those statutory funds that the MPP capped. But key one, the district assemblies common fund. It's now being released, and every assembly out of all the 260 plus assemblies are going to have their 24-hour markets in a very short time. Now that is going to create jobs, right? That is going to create an economic base in every community. These are not just markets. They're going to have police posts, they're going to have health posts, they're going to have educational facilities, including creches for the women who go in there, and these are going to be near business and living enclaves like universities, etc. So it's going to engineer, an economy, basically. So when people say that you are not creating an enabling environment, I'm surprised, especially when some people who should know better, but for the politicking are saying that. Now, the next thing is that in addition to like creating jobs that will be sustainable, do you realize that the banks have been given the opportunity to now, instead of or the government for that matter has put the treasury bills in a situation where people are no longer going to put their money, the banks are no longer in a rush to dump monies in treasury bills and therefore are chasing people with loans? Are you aware? Now, if you're a credible business or people, the private sector for that matter, wants to go or have access to money, is it less or more difficult now? It's less difficult, isn't it? So if you are a business concern wanting to start business, voila, the enabling environment has been created thanks to the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance, prudent measures that they put in place, and that is credit to the government's enabling environment for businesses to thrive. It is now for the business and people, particularly the TUC and the trade unions, to tell us what their real challenges are. Now, I am always pro-youth, and I believe that the majority of this country are youth. Okay, we have a very youthful population. We have created organizations such as in the first administration of the Mama, it was the Youth Enterprise Support, now called NEIP. The Nkukon Kitkiti and other projects have been put under these. All right, there are other youth-centered policies that are going to create jobs for individuals, young people especially. All right, funds are being made available. Food is one area, or agriculture for that matter, is one area that Ghana has a comparative advantage. Coupled with the recent happenings in Burkina and Mali, in terms of us not being able to go out there and get onion, tomato, this and that, it gives, just like the South African situation, every negative situation offers us an opportunity, and that's what the president has always been saying. Right. It's up to us now to see where opportunity is. Look, if you go to a developed country, what it tells you is that there's less jobs to be created. Developing countries have more jobs. If you see a dirty country, it means go into the waste management sector, go into the cleaning industry. There are opportunities everywhere, and there's funds. Because first you need something that needs to be done, okay, on a sustainable basis in order to create a company that will have jobs that will not be short term. 2, you need access to capital, funds at a cheap cost, and that's what has been made by the government through the Bank of Ghana and the interventions they've done. 3 is that you need a very good environment and a ready market with the possibility of export. Because look, we are a small population. Right. If we are producing so much food, can we eat it all? So you need to be able to have a situation where you can produce enough to feed yourself, which is necessary, and also export. It means there's opportunity for canning. This government has, if you look at the trade ministry, the new nomenclature, includes agribusiness. All right. If you look at the directorates that have been created, the Feed Ghana module and Autochthonous outfit, there's a lot of opportunity in there. I think that maybe we are not being proactive enough and taking advantage of all government policies. Right. When government makes policies, what it tells you essentially is that these are the places where I'm going to put the money. Right. So when you look at the budget, and I think that budget statements should not be read and left. Budget statements must be analyzed properly by business people, and they should look at where the government is putting the money. Go and get it. There is money. It's been voted. If you don't and the money is sitting there, it tempts the people to steal. And the technocrats have a way of stealing the money. Look, they steal it in connivance with the government officials.
Right.
Yes, I'm telling you, no, it's the truth. So if business people, and so that's what I'm saying, I'm surprised that the trade unions are specializing in just recycling old statements and then the productivity. Let's look at the public sector. When the 24-hour economy kicks in, no, I'm winding now. When the 24-hour economy kicks in, what's the time in South Africa right now? Do you know?
About 2 hours later.
The time in Nigeria, 1 hour late. The time in New York, 7. The time in China. This time round, we will be working 24 hours, so we'll be in sync with every country, no matter where you are. Which means that in real time, assuming that you need to have something paper pushed by some technocrat, the ports are working. So right. 24 hours is working. Every sector is working. It means that there's even greater opportunity created by the 24-hour economy for us to interface. It means that business can thrive. You can export at any time. You can produce at any time. Electricity is coming. You can industrialize. You can manufacture. You can can, and you can export. That is where we must aim for.
I want you to take it, Doc. Once you get this statement from the TUC, it says economic growth without jobs is exclusion. Stability without livelihoods is incomplete. An economy that grows whilst workers remain insecure is not yet an economy that has fulfilled its social purpose. No. Now, he said the country has failed to transform the structure of the economy in ways that will produce jobs in sufficient quantities.
What is their role in achieving that?
This statement, I don't think it's making reference to just the current government. I believe this is something that's speaks to the past as well as the present. So, and maybe for this
is the reality.
Yes, for workers,
whether it was in somebody's past government. Yes, this is the reality.
And for workers, one thing is clear: the relationship between workers and government will be like Oliver Twist. They will continue to ask for, no matter what. Okay, because it's a moving process. I don't think we will ever have a government that will satisfy the needs of workers 100%. At any given time, there will be room for improvement. So maybe that's the context in which I would look at it. But as far as we're concerned, seriously, we know that the numbers, macroeconomic numbers are good, but when it comes to job, the numbers are frightening. And that's a reality we cannot run away from. For example, Ghana Statistical Service will tell us that unemployment is about 13% in that region. And if you come in the circle of the youth, it's even more.
So about 34.
It's about 20%.
34. So
okay.
It's not 30.
It's up to.
Okay, but the numbers quite high.
Yeah,
so definitely yes. So we know that at least looking at our immediate past, macroeconomic numbers have not been good. As a result, on the whole, majority agree that currently the numbers are looking good. Talk of inflation is down to about 3.something%.
3.2.
Right.
And going down.
And it's going, no problem.
Heading to 1.
Talk of
do you measure a country's growth by GDP?
Oh no.
So or debt to
president
GDP, and that's the current policy. And people think that it is not the best way.
No, yes. The president's focus is
measure
not GDP,
to measure the growth of a country.
Yes.
By debt to GDP ratio. It doesn't really gives you a reflection
the
of
government
what
has moved from that.
So you see these macro numbers that we're talking about, they are just good to stabilize the economy. It is what comes after that we're talking about now, or we want to see. Maybe the question is it have we stabilized enough that the numbers in terms of unemployment should start changing?
Yes.
Or do we still have some systemic reforms that we need in order that these stabilized numbers will reflect by way of jobs and other things. I think that's the area of concern. Of course, we know we don't have a perfect system, and I think that sometimes that's why we even have variations or difficulties in terms of even ordinary pricing. That sometimes when you look at the fact that we say, oh, exchange rate has stabilized, and yet when you look at the price of certain goods, the same item, buy it 1 cedi here, just travel 200 meters in the same area, and it's more than 1 cedi, or it could even be less. So basically, I think those are some of the systemic issues that we have challenging our environment. Now, as far as the stability we have is concerned, that is certainly not in doubt. To the extent that people can borrow at a lower interest rate, exchange rate is more stabilized. Now government is even willing to borrow less and freeing up, avenues for businesses to borrow and so on and so forth. We only expect that business interests or business holdings will respond by going out to borrow. But don't also forget that they also have certain challenges also confronting them. For example, maybe cost of electricity, cost of production. So again, it has to be a bigger picture in terms of overview, that how are we ensuring that these macroeconomic figures that we're talking about are able to reflect in other areas that will make the system respond. It is only when we have that the numbers will actually start reducing drastically. But I don't think it can be an overnight, something that as soon as these figures speak the way they speak, within a matter of 6 months, all we should ask for, one, is sustainability of what we're talking about. If the exchange rate remains stable, interest rate remains down, business environment is enhanced, then I believe there will be appropriate response from the business committee in order to address the issue of the joblessness that we're talking about. Right. Again, government itself, we know, can open avenues to some of the programs, can open avenues for job creation, but its own ability to pay this also matters. So all said and done, yes, stability now, good, but we need sustainability before the response will come in. I don't think that 1 year is enough, considering where we are coming from. If we come to the Bank of Ghana issue, for example, you realize that whatever we are even experiencing now speaks to the hit that the bank took a couple of years ago. So it will take time for all these to actually, even out. But we will still ask that government should do more in order to create the enabling environment which will elicit a response from the business community. When we do that, the joblessness that we are concerned about would be reduced, and people who have avenues to have jobs, and then in the living conditions will be addressed.
Ambassador, is our economic stability reflecting in our living conditions?
Well, not at all. There's a sharp contrast between the reality and what is carried in most of the books, our textbooks. And it's very simple. TUC too, they can't take themselves out of the blame, because they are the workers. So sometimes when they are complaining, then the unemployed might rather chase them. The workers are supposed to work to achieve that maximum output. Is that output that will benefit all of us? Is that not the case? So if you that is supposed to work to achieve that is not achieving that, then whom do we blame? You are the first culprit. Those you answer. And I agree with Doc and PDA when they say that this has been recycled. For how many times haven't we heard the TUC and co say the very thing that you are reading to us? You are an integral part of the economy. You hold a very significant portion. What has been their contribution, even in terms of policy? It has turned into a political arena, and that is why the last 7 years I decided not to take them serious. You remember the days of Christiana PJ? There was a TUC boss like that during Jerry Rawlings' time. Those turbulent days, that was when TUC spoke, everyone took it very serious. Edward Mankwa came, it was reduced, but he also did his bit. But the last ones, the last two are totally waste of our time. Look, Ghana Mine Workers Union, are they not part of TUC? They know Ghana Mine Workers Union. So if I tell you that the TUC itself is a problem, you must understand where I'm coming from. Recently, EMP took over that mine. A Ghanaian-owned company takes over a mining company that has been mined by a South African company for more than 30 years. They're shipping out our money.
Are you faulting TUC for the issues that they are raising, which are realities on the ground?
No, I'm coming there.
Right.
I have no, because these
if they have their challenges, it shouldn't tell on government policy.
But you would also remember my opening statement that I told you. The question I said there is a sharp contrast. So, but I'm telling you why we are where we are and why everyone must play his or her role perfectly so that we achieve what we all want to achieve. Ghana Mine Workers Union, Daman Mine, EMP goes to take over, and they come and issue a statement that they are not happy that a Ghanaian company has taken over. Did you read that story? Why? So the Ghanaians mostly cheat them here and there. In other words, they prefer foreigners dictating the pace in our extractive sector. Now, you know the mining sector is one area that generates a lot of income. So if we are going to deal with the issue of a living wage or a proper wage, it means all the other sectors has to grow significantly to contribute hugely or immensely to the economy. And one of such economies or one of such sectors is the extractive sector. And we can have that significant contribution to the economy in terms of income when a Ghanaian is the one owning the mine. Now the mine is given to a Ghanaian. The TUC that includes Ghana Mine Workers Union, they have a problem with that. So how do I see that TUC? Is it no absurdity? So everything must be given to foreigners.
Was that the stance of TUC or the aggrieved workers?
TUC is an amalgamation of unions.
Yes.
So to the extent that a union member that is responsible for that sector is speaking, that it covers the entire TUC.
Might not be the official stance.
That is official, because if anything.
So you mean they are divided? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not a matter of division. It's about maybe they feel aggrieved and they are coming out with their.
So the point really.
It doesn't mean it's an official stance of TUC.
You know, when we come to say Pan-Africa Television, it's a media house. But you have journalists segmented in various topics. You have people that you rely on for information when it comes to politics or parliamentary affairs. I'm sure that's what happens here. Is that not the case? So that when I know your political or parliamentary correspondent is speaking, the mere fact that it is not Pan-Africa that is not speaking, does not mean that that's not your position, because he is the one that you'll be taking advice from. When you get to TUC, those that are in charge of the mining sector is the Ghana Mine Workers Union. And that was the Ghana Mine Workers Union having an issue with EMP. And right from there, you go to Kofodia and tell us that there is a mismatch. Yes, there will be a mismatch, because over the years, what the TUC should have been doing is to call for Ghanaian ownership of the economy. What is so difficult? We have sat in this country for Ghana Telecom to go, for all the Ghanaian businesses to go, without Ghanaians even buying it. So yes, everybody knows that we are magicians living in this country. Sometimes you look at the salaries and how people are able to survive. It tells you that we are living by grace. It explains why every time you go to the mosque and churches, people are filled up.
Minimum wage.
Because the minimum wage is just not right.
It's not taking you.
It cannot. And you know,
it takes you to church, eh?
to even make matters worse, this is the country where everything is cash against goose.
Yeah.
Anything you want to buy, you have to have the cash. It's the reason why corruption is so rife. Because you must mobilize the cash to go and buy, if it is car, if it is food, and there are no safety nets. If you are hungry, you will die. There are no safety nets. So, in that extent, I agree with the chiefs. But what I'm saying is that they must also be part of the solution. if they decide to do what is right as TUC and not play politics. Some few days to the election 2024, they said they were going on demonstration on Galamsey. Last minute. That this same answer, he was the one that read the statement of, oh, they have stopped. Hey! What changed hands before you stopped? When they are giving us prior notice that you were going on demonstration. So when you begin to do such things, you lose the confidence of the people of this country. But that is to say that this administration must begin to actualize all their policies. You know, my brother, sometimes when he's explaining the things beautifully, but remember, you are in power now. I have the luxury of explaining, but you okay, you don't have power. You are in power, you don't have power. So sometimes when he's here, he's assuring, I look at you, what are you assuring? Nobody can hold you. You don't have power. They must find your position and then you want to come and can take you over. But the truth of the matter is that 24-hour economy, we said it, that it was the improvement of the entire economy that will lead to the 24-hour economy. And yes, you must deal with the entire economy so that it will create opportunities. Last but not the least, this minimum wage and unemployment situation, we must also acknowledge that we have a youthful population, some of whom are lazy, I tell you.
Are they South African?
Look, it is crippling here. And that is why some of us had an issue with the removal of the betting tax. The way and manner the youthful population want to have easy access to money. So you go to various apprenticeship places and the youth are not there to learn. They don't want to learn anything. But you cannot be employed when you are not skilled. You can't. It is practically not possible. So let us begin to advise our youth that you must also make yourself employable by acquiring a skill. We were all told to go to the universities. After that, you will get a good job. But the reality of the day is that it's not true. That mantra, I want to go to university, I want to read this dondology, I want to read it doesn't give that job.
Right.
And we can make a headway.
Well, but David, I think one addition. We should not also lose sight of the fact that we have a population of 34 million. Government workers are under 1 million. We're talking about 700,000.
700,000. Even with that, they are taking a chunk of the money.
Yeah. And yet, with that, they are taking a chunk of the money.
No, give the percentage. It's almost 90%.
Together with our interest payment, it's 90%.
So you see?
Yeah.
So that's why we have to look at the whole economy in context. So it is not only government workers that we should be speaking for. An improvement in the whole economy will bode well for all and sundry.
So diversification of the economy to bring more private
700,000 government workers is not a full representation of all workers in Ghana.
No. Millions of workers.
And even that one, Kumson's group has
boycotted. The organize a press conference on corruption.
Yeah.
When was the last time?
And yet corruption is a
They are the people committing all the corruption. They're together with the politicians. When the politicians come, they lead them to go and take 1 million. They take 10 million because they know the system. Last time we were told by ATTON that someone forged the signatures. They blame also at Ministry of Foreign
Western Housing, yeah.
$5 million. Is it cheap? The last time I was on set with another gift box, the former one, he told me that someone at the stores forged the signature. He reported it. So when was the last time TUC, in the midst of all this corruption, organized a press conference that they face you and I to answer why their members, they continue to look unconcerned when their members are engaging in corruption?
Well, let's move on.
TUC is a stakeholder in the corruption fight and must be front and center.
And they will
So that's why we have to TUC. They need to work together with government.
I think TUC should own 50% of the oral fight, because when oral happens, the amount of money to free the working, the living wages that they are calling for will be.
Because the money is in the pocket of individuals,
of thieves,
and they are crying.
Yeah,
it's government who champions the oral thing.
That's a 50% partnership. They are taking 90% of the money.
You are pampering them too much. You see, these all African games. Who is sitting on it? Yeah. The National Cathedral.
Right.
Yeah.
The ECD sector.
As for oral, I think the government must do better.
Well, let's get to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Let's see if we can have a quick discussion on that. Because the President, even though he acknowledges that the case is in court, he feels government should speak into the space. And thereby, if we want an efficient and smooth running Office of the Special Prosecutor, then the office needs some special prosecutorial powers, you know, to be able to be more sufficient. Doug, I'll start with you on this. The President, I think, look, if you listen to the President, he said it from day one that he thinks that the office must stay, and now he's adding his voice to the extent that he thinks that that special prosecutorial powers must be given to the OSP. If you listen on the other side to especially some members of his government who don't share, it looks like some members don't share his views, you know, his candid views on the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Would you support this proposal?
Well, we're in a democracy, so people are free to express their views. The most important thing is, let's see which one is best for Ghana. Corruption, as we just spoke a while ago, is something that is staring us in the face. And the leakages in the system are mind-boggling. Whatever we will do to address this certainly is something that will be in the right direction. OSP's office staying, not staying, I think that for now, we're having individual views being expressed here and there. The most important thing is, I think we should take stock of where we are and where we're coming from. I know people have serious problems with the style, attitude of the current OSP, justified for that matter. But maybe the question should be, what do we do in order not to lose the fight? After all, we have been fighting corruption even before the OSP's office was created. What has been our level of success? So we should address it. If there are loopholes or lacunas in the kind of laws that we have, let's address them. And that's my first reaction when I read this, the President, of course, expressing his opinion, fair enough. I want to see what action is being taken. But after all, you are in office today. You have the power.
But the case is in court at the Supreme Court.
No, okay, that one has to do with the authority being okay. Yeah, okay. So that's we should not touch that. But at least, what action will be taken, or what action is being taken, in order to ensure that we continue the fight? For the average Ghanaian out there, listening to all that we have heard from the past governments up to the current government, we just need action. Some of us said we're going to give oral at least a year or a little more to see what will happen. Unfortunately, I'm beginning to join.
I remember you said that.
I'm beginning to join that bandwagon that, hey, it appears this thing is dying.
You think so?
It appears. If not, yes, I know 6-7 cases in court, but there are lower hanging fruits.
The President says the wheel of justice grinds.
No. But for example, all African games, we spoke about the fact that the identity cards that were produced, it was A4 papers, A4. And when people did the costing for one ID card, you can't believe it. A4 sheet. And we a committee was commissioned sometime last year in December. No, earlier. It was earlier. November, and they were supposed to give their reports middle of December. We're in May. We need an update. We need some action. Right? And there are some other cases in that similar vein. So what we expect that, look, a little more vibrancy should put as far as this oral is concerned. There are so many cases that we can refer to. And I believe that we are not seeing enough. So as for the office staying, I think that maybe we should make a distinction between the attitude, style, and maybe the nature of the current occupant of the office. And then the need for the office to stay in order that we fight corruption. If there's a need for us to review the whole, structure in terms of our fight against corruption, it could be a good idea, because we have Yoko, we have CID, we have BNI, we have all these agencies, all, okay? If it is that is not helping us achieve what we want, can we review, if possible, unify them under one body? Either will give the results, else the question of whether OSP's office should stay or not, for me, it's not even the substance. The substance is, what structure do we have to fight corruption? We all admit it is something that is killing us. If nothing at all, let's make reference to the Public Accounts Committee, some of the things that we had. So what are we doing to mend those leakages? The leakages are there. So I think that should be our area of discussion. That should be the focus. Personally, I just need action from the government.
And there's a new high court that has been created, and raises the argument. So if we see the need, in the fight against corruption, to deal with the Public Accounts Committee's recommendation, therefore we've put together a new high court to deal with that. Why can't we do, and that's where people argue, a fast-track court to deal with the issues of ORA? Because that's also possible. If you can do that for Public Accounts Committee sitting, and thereby creating a new court, high court, to deal with the Public Accounts Committee sittings recommendation, why can't you same with ORA and create a specialized court to move the cases?
But before you get to the court, you must prepare the cases. And from the look of things, it appears even the Attorney General's office is overwhelmed, understaffed. So I think that should be an area to be worked upon before it gets to the court. Yes, having new courts to address issues of Public Accounts Committee and other cases of corruption, that's fine. But the case built up itself is crucial.
So I think I agree with him, except that the overwhelming, he didn't say the overwhelming. You see, not too long ago, the count of corruption cases under the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia era was ongoing. It started from 1 to 10 to 50 to 1,000 to 1,000. I mean, like, it was in some astronomical, increments of almost every day, like 10 serious corruption cases, scandals were on net. And so you cannot expect that any Attorney General will be overwhelmed. Number two is that I think that we should not have a fixation on the name OSP, as in the Office of the Special Prosecutor. There is a tendency to want that office to stay as the OSP. Whatever name it is called, for me, is a function that matters. It's a function of prosecuting corrupt officials or corruption cases and corruption-related matters. That is what is important. That is what I hear the president saying. Now, the occupant of the office is also a big problem, including some of his key staff. Sami Daku, for example, has been very abrasive in the media and has also not helped the bad conduct of his boss. So people are angry with that. And then for me, and coming from Arise Ghana, most of us believe, and Ghanaians do, that the Office of the Special Prosecutor was created out of mischief by Akufo-Addo to chase not people who were corrupt in his government, but rather persecute those who were not in his government. Even though the original concept, as was professed, was supposed to be to allow for an independent person to be able to deal with people who are in government. Because the thinking was that the Attorney General, as a member of cabinet and a government official, was not able to look his colleagues in the eye and prosecute them. That's why there was a need for a creation of an office like that. Yet, when the office was created, he tried to use Martin Amidu to prosecute people who were not in his government, but rather out of the government. So immediately it was clear.
Focus here because of time. It's about
no. I'm saying that. No, it's important. Now, I am saying that, look, going forward, we have a constitutional review process in place. I would think that the president has been very consistent in his views in terms of keeping the office, not because of the name, but some people assume that he is championing the cause of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He is championing the cause of an independent prosecution and the ability of the state to prosecute people even whilst they are in government. Now, how do we do that? I think that it is clear to all of us that the constitutional review process is leading us to the destination. Those who even created it know And they knew it back then, including the speaker at the time, the attorney general at the time, and others. And they've all spoken that this was some charade. And they knew this day will come. This day has come. Fortunately for us, we can go for a referendum, change the entrenched clause that makes the attorney general's position sacrosanct, and therefore needing to give permission for anyone to do prosecutions in his name, because that's what it has been. It's a charade. The office of the special prosecutor and the current occupant have been charged with the responsibility to run the clock for Akufo-Addo to walk free. Constitutional deadline of 3 years is almost up. He's still walking free. He's not being Number 2 is to allow for Ken Ofori-Atta to walk free so that he cannot come and be a star witness in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government.
Why don't you want to speak to the issue?
I'm talking about the issue.
Powers of the special prosecutor.
The powers of the special prosecutor
are
supposed to be either constitutional or unconstitutional. The argument is that it's unconstitutional because of Article 88 and the fact that the Attorney General is the only one who can give powers to people to prosecute in the name of the Attorney General.
The President says government is looking into that space.
Yeah, and but it is not up to the government cannot.
The most efficient way to
do anything corruption about the entrenched clause. The only thing that can happen is a referendum.
Yes.
And the change in the constitution. The president is not opposed to that. In fact, he has not only asked for the review of the constitution, he is putting in place a constitutional the implementation committee to fast track the thing and for us to have a referendum. So he is not opposed. He's very consistent. But the issue is that we are slow in prosecuting people, and I hear not only it being said here, it's been said everywhere, and I'm saying it. We have been slow in prosecuting those oral cases. We have been slow in prosecuting those who have stolen our monies, whose audit report findings are contained in the Auditor General's report, which has come before the Public Accounts Committee.
Right.
And so there's supposed to be in the Public Accounts Committee operations not only the committee, but there's supposed to be a special court. So the current CJ has been very proactive, and you remember that the President called the current CJ and the Attorney General and charged them to do that, and they have done that. So the President is moving in that direction, but we need more lawyers, more prosecutors. The privatization of some of the corruption cases, and no solution is opposed to. But I think that the final nail lies in the president signing into law the legal reform bill that has been passed by Parliament, so that this law exam that is happening in July should not happen. Let us let the LLB people proceed and go and become lawyers. So we have a lot of lawyers, and then we can fill in the spaces at the prosecutor's office and prosecute all those thieves. There are too many of them. Some of who is working free. Top is working free. Plenty of them are in Parliament. Why? There are too many of them. That guy is still in Parliament. The All African Games guy.
I need to move.
Go to Parliament. Take about 50% out.
Yes. Please take us home.
That's what it is.
So the need for more lawyers is not bad, but we need quality lawyers. Recently, the Chief Justice had a cause to complain about a lawyer that stole a colleague's mobile phone in Tema Court. Yes, Tema Court. A lawyer go and steal a colleague's phone. That's where we have gotten to. And the Chief Justice, Bafumoni, was so amused at all. He himself said it too. I couldn't believe it.
But you know what happened last week? A lawyer was caught committing perjury and said it was a slip.
Error. Cesar. That is it. So you need the quantity, but you must always focus on the quality.
The quality.
A lot of them, I mean, the view they have about the profession, when they go in there and realize that it's not that, then they begin to do all sort of things. So that one must be said. Presidents, ministers, and everyone that are given authority, they have feelings, they have beliefs, they have thinking. But that's not how we rule a country with. We rule a country with the Constitution. So the president of the land may have his beliefs. So I heard you say he believes. No, it's not about your belief. I was thinking, no, it's not about your thinking. What does it say? Does it align with the Constitution? Because the Constitution is the aspirations of the people. So
if that's what it thinks, once that we are going through the Constitution review,
yes,
maybe perhaps we can look.
He can suggest.
Yes, he can suggest.
Or if all of us agree, then it becomes a law. There is judges that give rulings. Sometimes it's not that they believe in the rulings that they are giving on, but that's what the law has mandated them to do. So your beliefs, your thinking, your ideologies do not matter that much. It is what the Constitution says, and whether or not your beliefs aligns with the Constitution. Because you derive your authority from the constitution. This office of special prosecutor, the intention for establishing it was bad, was not in good faith, and that is why it is struggling. Anything founded on evil does not survive.
Yeah.
You understand? Because you see, I was in the MPP and I knew from the 90s to 2000s till the time the OSP office came into being that was not the policy position of the party. The party was thinking of separating the Attorney General's office from the Ministry of Justice. That was always the argument. Because you see, in this country, a lot of injustices are done to people that also go to court. When an Attorney General goes to court, it does not automatically mean that he must by all means defend the government too. Because he is the Minister of Justice, so whatever he does must be, look at both sides and put what is right, do what is right to all manner of persons. This office came, we have only been spending, now we are close to $1 billion on that office. What has been the contribution? You look face to face, mano a mano, and tell me whether the way you are talking about the take-home pay not taking you home, and we continue to spend money, throwing money into our fetching water into basket in the form of OSP, it is still prudent for us to have it as it is. When you go and talk about that office, then the leader will come, Ankwanoma. That is what we have been treated to.
In his bulletproof car.
In a bulletproof car. Once someone willingly submits himself to his place, then he locks the person. Martin Pebu, low-hanging fruit, ego. It is ego that has brought us that far. Either than that, if you are looking for, if the Constitution and the Article 884 says you need authorization from Attorney General,
just go for
do you need any back and forth?
No. Just go to Attorney General, write to him. Look at even the extradition of this in Kenufriata.
It was terrible, but I'm coming there. Remember, the last time I came here, I told you that when Tampuli and Co. did the press conference and said they supported the OSP and the SP being in office, I told you this government must open their eyes. At that press conference, didn't you see Duko Furiata there?
Yes.
Duko Furiata, is he not the brother of Ken Furiata?
Yes.
So Ken Furiata's brother was telling us that he was so happy with that institution that was pursuing his brother. And you think it is just on the surface? It means it's not good. That matter is not going to go anywhere. Coupled with the fact that at all material times, we were made to believe that extradition orders were already there. Not knowing that Attorney General was here fighting with him to get it. And he was not getting it. Right. So President Mahama, yes, you are president. Sometimes I can see the boldness in handling and saying it as it is, so that people will say, hey, you that said that you were coming to deal with corruption, you are even closing